Right, right. Okay. All right, people. Hey, this is Dr. George, Dr. Uh, Dr. George, Dr. Business Management, specialization in accounting, master's in human resource, undergraduate in management, finance and information systems. Hey, wanted to come to you guys and do a live broadcast on the subject of DEI and knowledge workers, specifically Black knowledge workers, and basically to discuss, have a discussion about DEI and some of the issues that is going through. As you guys know, DEI was started off with the idea of affirmative action, and recently, over the most recent years, it's been going under attack. So there's a lot of DI programs that's being in jeopardy of being removed if they haven't been removed already, or been minimized. And some would even say it was minimized to begin with. So I want to actually go into that discussion. There's some keywords I want to go over. And again, this is DI of the Black Knowledge Worker, but there's some keywords I want to make sure we're all in agreement with. One is DEI itself. So just to get sure we're all on the same page, defining DEI. So DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it refers to a set of values and strategies that promote participation and representation of a diverse group and individual. So D is diversity, E is for equity, and I is for inclusion. That's the one of the first things I want to get out the way. The other thing is defining what I mean by knowledge workers. So knowledge workers is a knowledge worker is a professional who uses their knowledge, critical thinking, and interpersonal skills to create value of an organization. The other part I want to discuss is human capital. So most of you guys have seen my videos know that I talk a lot about human capital value. Again, human capital in the sense is your value is based upon in general, based upon your education and based upon your training. So if you're looking at the idea of HR managers and HR departments are geared towards tracking the best candidates and training the best candidates and retaining the best candidates, that idea is to get employees. In this case, I'm talking about knowledge workers who actually have the education and then have the specific training that's geared to your profession in order to increase their value while they're inside your organization. So that's what I mean by knowledge workers. Black knowledge workers specifically is what we're talking about today because we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And where did it go off the rails? So again, some people say it was a good thing, some people say it's a bad thing. So I want to get a discussion about it. So um, please feel free. If anyone comes in, please feel free to, if you want to ask a question, you can ask a question in the chat line. Please feel free to like and subscribe. If you're watching the replay of this video, please like and subscribe for any more videos about this subject and topic. So let's get into it. So diversity, equity, inclusion, and how it actually, where it may have went off the rail. So I want to talk to you about the idea that going back to affirmative action. So affirmative action to help right the wrongs of this country was basically, think of it this way. If you're trying to look, I want to give a distinction between labor workers and knowledge workers in this discussion. Um, if you're a labor worker, and nothing wrong with labor, I've done labor before. I come from a labor intense background of family. If you're a labor worker, worker that does labor, and you're hired onto the job, assuming that you have no physical disability that's visible, you got your arms, you got your legs, you're able to move, and it looks like you're able to handle the physical task that's at hand. Some people may still question why you're there, but at least they know you have the ability to do the work or do the job. You are physically able to do the labor with the proper training, but you have the mechanism of doing so. The difference between labor and knowledge workers has to deal with the idea that knowledge work is a little different. So, with knowledge work, you can show up on a job as a knowledge worker, and uh, physically, no one's going to know whether or not you're capable of doing that work. But you show up on the job, um, assuming that you have the education and training internally, because then this is not, again, this is knowledge work. You're able to prove yourself on the job and actually able to do the work. But to somebody outside that's looking at you, they won't know from just eyeballing you if you're able to actually do the work. So you have a you have a scenario where people are looking at you wondering why you're there. Are you a DI hire? Are you a affirmative action hire? Do you have the skills and ability to actually do the work? And again, with knowledge workers, the only way you're going to know that is when they actually do the knowledge, show their ability to critically think and work out problems and come up with solutions. But they need the opportunity to actually do those things. And that's one thing I've been finding out from my research on DI is that some of the knowledge workers have been sort of sidetracked. Um, some people have assumed they do not know how to do the work and not giving them the opportunity to prove that they can do the work. Now, that's on the outside looking in. I also said I wanted to discuss imposter syndrome. Well, imposter syndrome also comes into play from if you are that knowledge worker. So let's say you're that knowledge worker, you're in a place, it's your first job, you're right out of school, you got all the knowledge that you have, but you haven't had a chance to put it to the test. You are relying upon the people that hired you, relying on the HR, relying upon your managers and supervisors to put you in a situation that allow you to showcase what you've learned and actually add value to the organization. So you're showing up as a person who has educational value, and you're looking to get the training on the job to actually increase your value, and then you're looking to show that value to the employer and to the people and to your clients and your customers to show that you actually can contribute the value based upon your education and your training. However, you're not being given that opportunity. So internally, what happens is that that worker, that knowledge worker, whether they're fresh out of school or transitioning for another job, they're new to that company. Some of them may start questioning their own skills. Again, they haven't gotten the training yet, but they're questioning whether or not they belong there. That's when that imposter syndrome could kick in on the workplace. Same thing with education. So let's say you're coming out of a public school system and you're getting ready to work inside of you're getting ready to go to attend a college, whether it's a private college or a public college, university, or an HBCU. You're going into that environment and you're wondering whether or not you're already wondering whether or not you belong, but now you're there and you're looking for the opportunity to get further education, but people are questioning why are you there, and you start questioning yourself when you start wondering, well, was I affirmative action higher, or was I enrolled because they need a certain amount of minorities here? What was the reasoning for me actually being able to attend this university or this college, and do I really have what it takes to be here? um, that's when that imposter syndrome could kick in. So again, these DEI affirmative action efforts, nothing's necessarily. I'm not one of those people that say it was is totally wrong approach to do, but you need to recognize that when it comes to knowledge worker, people that's being engaged because of the knowledge that they have and the ability to critically think through problems and situations to come up with solutions, um, the only way they can show their knowledge and show that they belong there is to be given an opportunity. Recently, I was watching a discussion of some politicians who was put in a situation where, and they weren't from the U.S., so they was from outside the U.S., but they was put in a situation where they pretty much was told they was only hired because um, they was a female and they was a minority and never was given the opportunity to showcase their efforts. The problem was they wasn't told that until years afterwards when they had been banging their head against the wall trying to get a policy done or a proposal put in place. No one told them that they wasn't never going to get the opportunity. So they wondered why they didn't get the opportunity. And it messed with some people's psyche. They start questioning whether or not they got what it takes. When in actuality, they was set up to fail. So a lot of these DI efforts and a lot of these initiatives, uh, unless you really are going to do a DI initiative the right way and actually have some things in place so that the people know these new hires and these new enrollees actually have the chops, they have the credentials to be there. You have to make sure that is known among the workplace if you're going to have that kind of program. And if you're not going to have that kind of support, then you're setting these people up for failure. And that's, wherever side of the spectrum you're on, uh, That's not exactly going to end well to have the people set up to fail for failure. So you want to make sure you have a program in place that actually has the support. So a lot of these DI programs, they don't even hire DI specialists to actually implement this. Instead, they have workers who are not paid extra to do this, but workers that's supposed to be a part of the DI community committees or organizations, but they don't have a separate salary. They're not devoted to it. They still got to do their regular job underneath the same structure that they existed before. And if it is a racist environment under that same racist system, basically they're a token. They've been pushed in front to actually make it look like um, that organization is actually in support of DI initiatives. So you want to, if you're going to have a DI program, if you want to, again, a lot of companies now pulling the program um, for a variety of reasons, but they are pulling the programs. So if you are going to still try to have a DI initiative, you need to have some designated people in place to make sure that people understand diversity, diverse people of different backgrounds, not just racial, ethnic, but it could be a different background. That's true. Equity, meaning that they have a chance to actually show that they can actually do the work. And inclusion, they got to be included in the process. You can't put them aside and just have them come out for show and then put these workers aside and not let them do anything, especially knowledge workers. The only way they can prove their value is to be placed in critical thinking situations. Um, there's another discussion that's going on currently inside of social media about basically the the white version of DEI, which basically is saying, well, people are getting hired because they're not a minority, and they may not have they may be incompetent or they may not have the chops to actually be there, but they still hired there because of nepotism or whatever the case may be. Yes, that could be a case too, and that has happened obviously. So what we're trying to do is that if you're going to actually have a program, you got to actually make sure it's fair. You got to recognize that that's a viewpoint that's out there. Um, Again, it's not fair to the participant to put them in a situation where they're being set up to fail. So that's the main thing, message I want to get across is you don't want to have people put in situations to fail. You want to give them a chance to actually showcase what they know, especially if they're knowledge workers. That's how they show their value. That's how they show their human capital value is by actually showing their human capital value by participating. The other topic that I wanted to discuss, in fact, this topic was initially going to be the connection between human resource and slavery, um, and that's because a lot of the lessons that HR and human resource departments have put together um, derive from trying to motivate employees to do more efforts, to do more. To produce more widgets. A lot of that actually derived from lessons derived from slavery, lessons derived from trying to get more work out of workers by providing little, if any, benefit. In the case of slavery, no compensation whatsoever. So this notion of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and trying to embrace equity and trying to embrace minorities into an organization um, for the purpose of having them produce more widgets or show more knowledge, more service to help the company grow. It's not really anything new. It's just the idea that you want knowledge workers to be able to showcase their knowledge. So that's the main thing. Okay. So the other discussions that I want to have in the future is going to be coming up is going to talk more about your connection with employees' connection with HR. That's what I'm going to talk more about employee capital. I'm also want to have another video talking about agency and autonomy and some other different topics coming up too. Also, before I forget, we do have new management solution is having a release of a calendar system that we've been putting together that's going to get released in January. So I want you guys to look out for that one. I'll be doing more videos related towards that. But again, part of that planning system is geared towards trying to train employees, knowledge workers specifically, on how to recognize potholes and rabbit holes as they progress through their career where I ain't gonna say landmines, but situations have been placed in front of them, probably for them to fail, and they have to learn from them. And so the system that was put together is a system that allows knowledge workers to keep track of those things, so they can learn from them and still be able to do their job and still be able to make a living. So that's what I want to do. So um, again, that's what the video is. So look out for that planning system. It's going to be called Dr. George planner system. I have a copy of it right here, so I'll be giving more of it out. Discussion. I've been practicing using it so I can actually practice what I preach. So I've been using the planning system, putting in notations and trying to learn from potholes and rabbit holes myself, and so has my team, so that we can present a system that can help both students and professionals who are in this knowledge field actually grow. So again, diversity, equity, inclusion, the Black knowledge worker, um, the idea of imposter syndrome, and learning so that you don't fall victim to that imposter syndrome. Again, hate imposter syndrome. So I tell the students that I work with many of times is you belong. And it's just a matter of you open up your brain, open up your knowledge, ability so that you can obtain more knowledge and make the connections between past learning and current learning so that you can grow and you can increase your value both as a student and then later as an employee and ultimately later as a professional. And again, we talk mostly about employee capital, human capital, uh, but really it's about you growing. The idea here, people, is that the more knowledge, I hate to sound cliche, but the more you know, the more you grow. And showing your value and for yourself is one thing that's important. It should be important to everyone. Again, no matter what job you have, no matter what position you have, no matter what your job may throw in front of you, or as a student, what assignment you may have in front of you, you can achieve, you can learn. Just take your time, um, think about what you've already learned in the past. Think about what the assignment is currently in front of you, and try to make those connections. And if you don't do well on the assignment, you don't do well on the project, learn from the mistakes, learn from the situation, and do better next time. We're all human, right? So we're not going to be perfect, but we do have the capability of growing. And that's that growth mindset that we often talk about in my knowledge session. So for everyone out there, I appreciate you listening in. Look out for more videos for it. Again, growth mindset, diversity, equity, and inclusion, imposter syndrome, people. It's hard out there for knowledge workers, especially in today's environment with artificial intelligence. But we can do it. You can do it. Learn, grow, find yourself a community. Here at Neo Management Solutions, we spend a lot of times working with workers and working with students to get them to the point where they actually know they belong, but also they believe that they belong and they can actually show their value. So again, at Neo Management Solutions, here, Dr. George is we like to say that we're helping people unlock their value. So again, thank you for participating. Hope all is well. I did get some messages here, so I'll try to respond to them. Probably put them into the next video. So thank you guys again. I will let you guys go. As always, peace. Have a good one.